And welcome back to Healthcare Sucks. Hey guys, how you been? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm getting ready to do some outside work. We'll try to shoot you some outside videos so if you're trapped in the house or in the city and looking to get out of the house, you can get out of the house with me today. But first of all, these are very good questions about China. I want you to watch this and give your response. Had to lock the door, otherwise you might get interrupted, guys. At my house.
Right figure. Now, China is kind of back to work. The lockdown has been lifted. The epicenter, Wuhan, is apparently reporting no new cases. And apparently, the Chinese method is the only method that has proved successful. This should be good news. But good news from China, or for that matter, any news from China, meets with a problem. The problem of credibility. Can China's coronavirus recovery be trusted? It feels a bit odd to be even asking this question. The world still doesn't have an answer to the many questions that we've asked of China. Repeatedly, for more than 3 months now, questions about the source of the virus, the cure, the research, the reopening of the wet markets, no answers at all. So we keep asking the questions and we take the good news from China with a sack of salt. Tonight I want to raise 5 questions, 5 very basic, simple questions for China to answer. I'll try to keep them as direct as possible. Question number 1, where did the Wuhan virus come from? The coronavirus come from? China says it wasn't Wuhan. For a while, the Chinese blamed the Americans, but now they have made a U-turn. So where did the virus come from? It's very important to know. Was it the wet markets, which the Chinese government, strangely, hasn't shut down? If yes, then we must be preparing for another pandemic, a COVID-21 or 22, God forbid. Did it originate because of sloppy practices in Chinese labs, which is even worse? In any law-abiding country, those who recklessly pursue hazardous activities are held accountable, even punished for such disasters. In China, all of this is buried under the carpet. So that's the first question they must answer, the origin of the virus. Question number 2. How has China cured the positive cases at home? Again, no one knows. Why do I ask? Because China had reported more than 82,000 cases. Let's assume that is the right figure. Now, China says 90% of these cases have been cured. The question is how? What are they using? Is it traditional Chinese medicine, which President Xi also seems to be promoting? Or is it that nanomaterial that Global Times reported about? If yes, why not share it with the world? Perhaps learn from India. Hydroxychloroquine is not even a proven cure. It's a potential cure, and India has exported 14 million tablets of it. It is gifting paracetamol to neighbors and many life-saving drugs to nations in peril. What has China done?
So you gotta love this lady. I just love the way she talks. I like how she's direct. I like how she looks you in the eye when she says things. And when she says things, there's even a hint of humor if you can catch it. So, yeah, the truth of the matter is, can we trust China? No. Where did it come from? China launched it out of the Wuhan CDC, their CDC version of their lab. Our CDC, they're like W.19.C, Wuhan, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, came from there. Um, this was a bioweapon. It was engineered when they stole it. They monkeyed with it. I've went through this before, but I'm going to run through it one last time. So they stole it, re-engineered it, launched it on their own people via the wet market and the big dinner they had. They had a huge dinner that they passed it around. Plus, they had guys in little duck masks going to different countries. Bottom line solved. China released it. It's their bioweapon. It was their act of war. So there's no monkeying around about that. That's done. Now, as far as they've cured it and all this, of course they did. They had an antiviral and a vaccination right off the bat. That's why there was no sick troops. None. The emperor's family, none ill. And their factory cities wonderfully kept running, was never an emergency, never needed any supplies as they milked every other country dry of their supplies. Act of War Part 2. They did it. That's how you You start a war, you attack, then you drain or take over the resources of their ships. During the war, they would sink the ships in World War One, World War Two, supply ships. In this case, we just gave them the supplies like dum-dums. Not us, you and I. So, uh, and their credibility of having these new things that work in technologies is a bunch of hooey guys. And they will come out with something, I'm predicting, definitely, very quick. Oh, it's a wonder cure. And it's not going to work worth the crap. Everybody's going to buy into it. Billions of dollars are going to go to China. Meanwhile, they are starting back up, but they're having a second round. They're blaming it on people coming in, but it has never went away because it comes back for a second time. And because this is the monster they let out of the box that they cannot control. And they have they're not going to give all of their deplorables, the injections and the antivirus. Why? They only need to keep a certain amount running now because they are retooling with robots, guys. We did videos on it. And there's stuff that we don't see. So the bottom line, cannot trust China. Period. So let's watch some more of this. I like what's going on here. Let's see what she has to say.
Donation diplomacy, and that too backfired. China exported faulty masks and test kits. If China had cured tens of thousands of people, it claims it has, it should tell the world how and spare us the test kits. Question number 3. Where does research stand in China? I ask because China is very quick in slamming anything that anyone else proposes. Hydroxychloroquine is ineffective, said China, but it has offered no alternatives. It should, because it had a clear head start. It had the first samples, which it destroyed or hid.
And they were using hydrochloroquine, Plaquenil, over there. As a matter of fact, if you go back and watch my videos, you actually hear their people talking how it works wonderful and stuff. And now they're, bottom line, China is a lying scumbag. All they do is lie, manipulate. You know, it's so funny that they're the kind of people that stab you in the back and then they get thanked for it. And they want to get paid for stabbing us in the back. Not just us, the whole country, world. By the way, if you're in another country, love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Team 99. Team 99, you're awesome, man. But if you're in other countries, don't let your politicians and your people buy into this China crap. They are enemy. Right now we are in a war. They have started the war without even firing a bullet. And I guarantee you this is not done, guys. They are sneakily planning their next move on the chessboard. China did not start this to let this go. They've already wiped out economies. They've killed people. They've murdered people. Let's use the right word. They murdered people. Yes. And not just older people, which is bad enough. Young children have been murdered during this. Where are all the lefties who over everything? Why in the hell aren't they standing up and saying China's at fault? Let's pin the tail on the donkey. The donkey, the ass, the big ass is China. And President Xi, president for life, doesn't that show you he's got ties to the emperor? He ain't going nowhere because that's how this thing works, guys. So let's tune in. As far as the medicine goes, again, I was on Plaquenil myself, so I can attest to. I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but me personally, I didn't have no side effects. The reason I went to Rapamune is it did what that drug couldn't for me in my lupus, and we'll talk more about the Rapamune someday. Look it up, Rapmune. Here we go.
It reported the first case in December 2019. It's been almost 4 months now. China boasts of the world's biggest research labs. What are they doing? We won't know because China is clamping down on the publication of coronavirus research. Any academic papers on the virus will not be published until they receive a green light from the Special Task Force of the State Council. Believe it or not, a Special Task Force for research. The Chinese censors must clear everything. Question number 4. Why doesn't China give access to international experts if it has nothing to hide. China says it's a collective challenge. Fine. Global experts want to share their knowledge, make a collective effort. Why is China not accepting those offers? A WHO delegation was sent to Wuhan, but then we do not know what it found. In any case, the WHO has lost much credibility since. The US Center for Disease Control has offered to send experts to China. Beijing denied. The question is why? What is China hiding? And the last and most pertinent question, can China assure the world that this will not happen again? Will China shut its wet markets? After all, knowing how a pandemic started is key to stopping the next one. And China's wet markets have been the birthplace of many diseases. There have been warnings, scientific warnings. But these markets have gone back to selling exotic meat. From deer to minks to foxes, bats and pangolins, they're all back on the plate. What assurance, if any, can China give the world? Instead of answering the questions, though, China holds a light show to celebrate and divert attention. Well, we will not be blinded by these lights. The questions will continue. It is important to hold China accountable and make China pay.
And I agree. Healthcare sucks. Team 99. The rest of the world out there, my friends and family, they must pay. That's the bottom line now. This is an act of war. It's disgusting that we've even let them get away with this. Do we really need their garbage products that break? Their dollar store toys that you get at home and your kid, can't even play it 5 minutes before it's broke, or it's toxic. How many toys that Toys R Us used to sell? That's Toys R Us used to sell. Yeah, many is the answer. Look that one up too. So with that, we're going to move on today because we're going to have some outside videos coming at you. And this is Healthcare Sucks. Back at you because we're back in the saddle again. I'm back! Oh, sorry. I don't have those big lips to do that. In the saddle again. I'm back. Love you all. We use the Fair Use Act. Nothing here is real until you got the Wuhan monster knocking at your door, and he's a banging with a big stick today. Because if you notice, it's still around, which is very suspicious. We're going to go into that later. We're also going to go into, excuse me, I'm touching, I know, but I'm prettying myself up for the camera. I'm joking. There's a lot of other things going on that we'll touch on today. So please tune in the same bat time, same bat channel for the same bat healthcare sucks.